If you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened. Oh.
Get down. Come on.
Let me get my shoes.
I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes, sir.
Hold that in your head. It's bloody.
Sir, we gotta move to the bus.
Let me get my shoes.
Okay, my shoes down.
Watch out.
Wait.
Dead wrong. And so if you buy this assassination attempt, you're dead wrong. I'm going to destroy this thing in the next few moments on this video without any hope of salvaging any of it. I mean, this is just beyond ridiculous now. Anybody who falls for this, sorry, you're a dumbass. You really are. This is so easily proven fraudulent. I just marvel at how stupid supposed educated grown adults can be. Get over it, man. You're being lied to across the board by religious leaders, political leaders, leaders in academia, leaders in the media. All of them, baby. They're all full of shit. Anyway, before any shot was even fired, there were already problems with this official story. Just like with all the school shootings, right? You start looking at events leading up there too, like all the drills that were conducted. Almost every school shooting was preceded by a drill in the very town shortly before the thing occurred, right? Just like 9/11, multiple drills, including Vigilant Guardian, the biggest one of all, that were actually going on the very morning of the 9/11 attacks, not just leading up. There were several leading up to the event, or to that day, you know. But there were actually drills, a major one, Vigilant Guardian, taking place while the 9/11 attacks were transpiring. The government orchestrated 9/11 attacks. Anyways. So sure enough, before the actual alleged shooting of Trump had taken place, there was a huge problem right from the start with this story. An eyewitness by the name of Greg Smith told the BBC that he saw a man with a rifle climb onto a rooftop on a nearby building a full 4 minutes before the shooting even began. He told both police and Secret Service agents standing nearby about this man, but they were entirely unresponsive. Here's his exact words. And just Google his name. There's, a multitude of websites now that carry this interview. You can watch it for yourself, listen to it. These are verbatim words from his testimony. He said, and I quote, "We noticed a guy crawling up the roof of the building beside us. He said he was 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there," he said, pointing. We're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof. He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely," he said. "We're pointing at him. Police are down there running around on the ground, and we're like, hey man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle." And the police are like, huh? What? Playing dumb, right? Like they didn't know what was going on, he said. We're like, hey, right here on the roof, we can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling. They're yelling out to them. He's right there. Look. And they're like, what? Huh? Are you freaking kidding? Their job is to be on top of stuff like this, right? To ensure that there's no threat to the Messiah up on the stage, right? Doing all the blowhard talking there. Their entire responsibility is supposedly to protect this guy, right? So the best you could say
if this event really happened the way we're told, and Trump really was shot in the ear.
Oh, he was not. I'll be getting to that. But nevertheless, if this event played out the way we're told, something was desperately wrong here, wasn't there?
And now they're claiming, oh, we're going to launch an investigation to get to the bottom of this.
They're not going to investigate the problems with Trump's wound and his behavior and the behavior of others around. No. They're not going to look into that. No.
They're just going to look into, why didn't the police and the Secret Service do anything when they had the chance?
What a sick joke. This whole thing is so full of shit, god damn it. Just like all the school shootings. Oh, stick around if you're not familiar with that. I'll be getting into those in detail, and you will see the same classic fingerprints of the best you could say is phenomenal incompetence, right? Some of the shootings, the police didn't show up for an hour, or they didn't go into the building where shots were being fired for an hour after the time that they arrived, or didn't show up for an hour after the time they were called. Just total lack of response. Get the hell out of here, man. Are you frickin' kidding me? Anyways, he went on to say, and the next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, why is Trump still speaking? Yeah, if they're not going to respond and shoot the guy on the roof that I'm pointing to all these minutes, why aren't they at least getting him off the stage and out of harm's way? These are serious frickin' questions. The only thing you can conclude here is that either A, these bastards were in on the plot and wanted Trump dead, or, and this is the reality of it, Trump himself was in on it. This was all staged. There was no real shooting of Trump. Oh, there might have been shooting of other people. Innocent bystanders in the crowd, we're told, got shot. Yeah, they probably did. Just to help with the effect of it to look realistic, right? But there was no shot fired at Trump. God damn it. And we'll see the reasons for that shortly. Anyway, he went on to say, why have they not pulled Trump off the stage, he asked himself. I'm standing there pointing at him for at least 2 or 3 minutes. It was actually a total of 4 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. Some of them are on the roof of the barn, right? There was a sharpshooter up there. I'll talk about him later. I'm pointing at the roof of this other building, just standing there like this. And the next thing you know, 5 shots rang out. So there was plenty of time to prevent this, or at least, if not shoot the bastard, at least get Trump out of the way, right? No, they had no interest in doing that. They planned this long in advance and wanted it to play out so that the public could view this and get some nice propaganda BS going from the whole thing, right? Anyways, right off the bat, we have a major problem here. Before we even look at the events that follow, the actual shooting and what transpired with that, already before the shooting took place, from this man's testimony, we have a huge in-your-face problem. Things that don't add up. Things never add up with any of these shootings. Ever, ever, ever. These stories are designed to appeal to the gullible, dumbass masses that don't subject anything to close scrutiny. Well, keep being a dumbass out there, the dumb idiots that fall for this horse crap. Keep being a dumbass. Don't look into anything. Don't closely examine to see if anything makes sense. Just blindly accept as you always have, and your masters will be very happy about that. And one day you will wake up in a tyrannical system from which there will be no escaping, and you'll wonder why. You'll regret why you never listened to the naysayers who did do their homework, did look into this and see all the holes in it. It'll be too late then, won't it? Stupid asses. Anyway, let's jump ahead now
to the main event, the big attraction.
As Trump is there, shown addressing the crowd, right? Suddenly, several shots ring out. By the way, they sounded rather muffled, very strange. They didn't sound very loud, but it just could have been the acoustics or the microphone or whatever. I don't know. In any case, you suddenly hear shots being fired. And then Trump is shown raising his right hand to his right ear, rather casually, though, which is quite strange, quite suspicious. Why isn't his body jerking violently? If you take a shot like that, where the bullet supposedly goes through the top part of your ear, the cartilage, right? That's going to hurt quite majorly, is it not? And yet, he's almost casually just raising his hand up to his ear, and then he pulls his hand away. He's not flinching. His body doesn't jerk. You would think he would also instantly drop to the ground. He almost casually, not slowly, but not very quickly either. He just bends down, ducks beneath the podium there. It's so frickin' bizarre. It's not normal. It's not natural looking. Something doesn't add up there. But you know what else doesn't add up? He puts his right hand to his ear that supposedly just got shot, right? A bullet went right through the top part of his ear. And when he pulls his hand away, you can actually see that there's no blood whatsoever on his right hand. And I have to point this out, too. Just prior to the shots being fired, oh, this was all choreographed so marvelously. Just prior to the shooting, Trump is diverting people's attention over to some chart up on a big display screen, right? And he's pointing out something on the chart. And so everybody is looking over at the chart at the time when the shots go off. So nobody is looking right at him or his right ear for those standing behind him. So nobody really sees what's going on. And the next thing you know, Trump is, bending down. And now nobody can see what's going on while he's bending down. Obviously, as he's bending down, his little attendees are coming over and applying the fake blood then, which is why when he touched his ear, he pulls his hand away. There's nothing on his hand, right? At that moment, there was nothing. God damn it. As he bent down, they came over, and that's when they were applying the fake blood. Oh, and it is fake. There's no question it's fake. First of all, when he stands up, you can actually see a pretty good shot of it, right? You can zoom in. It's a high-res picture, so you can zoom in and see detail of it. It's not impressive looking. It looks like coagulated blood, right? Blood that's been sitting there for a while. It's not dripping. You do know, right, that your ears contain gazillions of blood vessels, such that even the slightest nick. Did you guys ever do this? For those of you who got to shave your ears like me, sometimes I use trimmers, Other times I'll just use my straight edge, if I'm in a hurry or something. And I've done it quite a few times, and usually I don't have a problem. But every once in a while, for some reason, I'll nick myself, right? And it's like, shit, here we go. I'm screwed now for the next half hour or so. When I get out of the shower, I have to grab some tissue paper and hold it tightly against that ear, hoping the blood will stop. I'll pull it away, and oh shit, nope, it hasn't stopped. Blood's still dripping. I gotta that's just a tiny little nick, right? A tiny little nick will do that. It'll keep bleeding. If I don't hold the freaking tissue over it, if I just let it stay, if I just leave it alone and expose it to the open air, it is going to drip. I'm going to get blood all over me. I don't even want to put a shirt on yet in case it drips on my shirt. It's going to stain it, right? It keeps dripping, doesn't it? Constantly. That's just a little nick. But if you get a hole through the top part of your ear, that son of a bitch is going to profusely bleed nonstop until it's gotten under control, right? And yet Trump stands up immediately after taking that shot, and there's no blood dripping at all. Look at the goddamn pictures. There's no blood. You would see trickles, several trickles going down his neck and staining his nice, pristine white collar. There's no stain on his collar. No blood dripped. Nothing ran down the side of his ear, the side of his neck. Nothing. It's all contained on the ear. And then that little smear going across his face. It looks like they took a goddamn paintbrush and just went, whoosh, cut the crap. Blood would have splattered in several different directions all across his face, right? And again, it would have been profusely dripping all down the side. Once he touched his ear, he would have gotten blood all over his hand. But you can see when he pulls his hand away, there's no blood there. End of story. This thing is as fake as it gets, my friends. And then he puts his fist up, making that little communist hand sign, right? And conveniently, the photographer got a nice shot of him with the flag behind. Oh, what a great propaganda shot that was. Are you frickin' kidding me? This was all planned in advance to win him some brownie points for the election, just like the Biden frickin' debate, right? All designed so that Biden would look bad. Not that they love Trump more than Biden. They lick ass equally as well. They love both of them. They're both hardcore Zionists, of course. Oh, no, they love them equally. But the agenda they want to push through now for the next 4 years will be much easier for them to do under a Republican than a Democrat. So they have to get him in, and they have to make it look legitimate because they know people have been suspicious about stolen elections, right? So they got to make it look like a landslide victory. So they're making Biden look bad and at the same time making Trump look good. And you know what one of the agendas is for the next 4 years, of course, is for Israel to finish the job against the Palestinians and to lay claim to Eretz Israel, from the Euphrates to the Nile. They can't do that under a Democrat, right? Biden's own constituents wouldn't stand for it if he was openly supporting, what Israel is doing right now. He's doing nothing about it, of course. They have free reign to continue, but they want more than that. They don't just want the U.S. to stand by and let them do what they want. They want assistance from the U.S. Biden couldn't do that because of his own constituents, but Trumpy boy can. And Trumpy has already said he's going to arrest and deport those who protest what Israel's doing and will protest the United States lending outright in-your-face support to what Israel's doing. All we're doing over there now is just serving as human shields so Israel can continue its operation, right? Without the Muslim world or anybody else getting involved. But now, when Trumpy boy gets in, and this is why they're talking about reinstituting the draft, god damn it. This has nothing to do with the, Ukraine thing. Oh, yeah, well, they might get involved in that too. But that's not the real issue here. The real issue is instituting the draft to get U.S. Troops over there assisting in the fighting going on. If you can call it fighting, it's a one-side operation, right? Innocent, unarmed civilians getting targeted by Israel's military. Now they want us over there, not just as human shields, but to actively assist in the mass murdering of innocent men, women, and children. Yeah. They can do that, once again, much more easily under little Trumpster boy, the new Jewish Messiah, much more easily than under Biden. So, again, the fake debate 2 weeks ago, and now this incident. Oh, and don't worry. As we get closer to November, they're going to stage other bullshit too, so that there's a landslide victory for Mr. Messiah, Donald Trump, baby. It's so obvious, in your face, god damn it. America, when the hell are you going to snap out of your frickin' coma, man? Your animated coma. After Trump raises his fist, just like BLM, right? The big fist symbol. It's a communist symbol, the fist raised like that. Anyway, Newsbreak carried this headline. Trump just created one of the most iconic photos in U.S. history. Oh, like they didn't have this all prearranged. Cut me some slack, baby. This is so goddamn juvenile. So fucking transparent. What the hell is the matter with you, America, falling for this? You've been falling for their bullshit for decades on end. Isn't it high time you get your heads out of your ass? Another news break headline read, Trump chances of winning presidency surge in betting market after apparent assassination attempt. Oh, you see how they're prepping the public in case you don't follow suit and go in the direction they want you to. They put headlines like this out there to push you along. Maybe you were sitting on the fence, you weren't sure, but this is going to push you along. Oh, wow, everybody else is going toward Trump now? Okay, well, I guess I should do the same. I don't want to be out in the cold and look like the oddball here. I want to be patriotic and support the man that everybody else is, who's going to be the hero and save the day for us. Oh, cut it out. Just knock it off. Interesting, though, isn't it, how this headline read, apparent assassination attempt. Apparent. Isn't that interesting? I mean, isn't it a given that an attempt was just made on Trump's life and it failed the other day? They're saying apparent. It's in your face, man. They're laughing. They're laughing at the suckers that fall for this horse shit. When they actually come out and use words like that, they're literally cluing you in at the fact that they pulled another one over on you and laughing that you buy it as reality. When they can say things like that, and when you can clearly see, if you look critically at their own footage that they provide you with, that it doesn't add up. God damn it all. Here's another problem. After the shot, right, and Trump stands up, or for that matter, while the shot's even being fired, look at the crowd behind him. There's a serious problem here. They're not freaking out. They're not running this way and that way. It'd be pandemonium. They would at least be hitting the deck, trying to get down as low as they could, right? None of them are doing that. It almost looks like it's a green screen. In fact, some have concluded that it was probably a backdrop green screen thing, right? With a fake crowd. And there's other reasons for concluding that. Not just the lack of panic in the audience, but the fact that when the camera cuts from one scene to another, or from one angle to another, the people standing behind Trump have completely changed. Have you guys noticed this? You know, in one shot, there's a guy with a cowboy hat, a light brown cowboy hat, standing just behind him, just behind his right shoulder, right? And then when it cuts to another camera, slightly different angle, but still, this guy would show up, even though it's a little different angle. You're still going to see this guy with the frickin' cowboy hat. He's nowhere to be seen. Also, the people standing directly to the left and to the right of him are completely different from one shot to the other. Something is seriously wrong here. I mean, it just jumps from one camera to the other within a second's time, right? How did the people standing behind him completely change? For reasons like this, people have concluded the whole backdrop looks like it's fake. It's a goddamn green screen. Something is not right. This makes me think of the Floyd thing, right? You know, I can't breathe. There were two footages shot of the Floyd murder, right? And one of the footage shows people standing on the street corner shouting at the cops, "Get off him!" And yet the other camera angle, supposed to be the same event, right? Just from a different angle, it shows that same street corner and there's frickin' nobody there. There were two separate frickin' filmings of this alleged murder of Floyd. Get out of town, man. By the way, why is it that, this group of Secret Service guys are running over and they bend down and they're helping Trump back up on his feet, whatever. None of them had a first aid kit. None of them had any gauze or any cloth or anything that they could have put over his ear to try to stop the bleeding until they can get him, more competent medical attention, right? Nothing is done. The ear is left wide open. That can help that can help infection to set in, right? You got to cover it. You got to try to contain the bleeding. Nothing. No compression applied. Nothing.
Well, obviously they didn't need to apply compression, did they?
Because the goddamn thing is not bleeding at all. There's no blood dripping. When you bleed, especially from the ear where there's tons of blood vessels, the blood is going to be pouring out. Pouring out. It's not. It's contained. Again, it looks like coagulated blood, right? It's caked on. It's not fresh blood dripping. Jesus H. goddamn Christ. How stupid can people be to buy this horse shit? And then, of course, there's the shooter, Thomas Crooks, a Jew. Yeah. And what a name for a Jew. Crooks? Crooks. Turns out Mr. Crooks, and this is admitted by BlackRock, they said that he participated in an ad for them back in 2022, 2 years ago. How do you like that one? My. Can you say well-connected crisis actor?
Was he really shot dead?
Isn't that convenient how in all of the shootings over the years, almost without exception, all the school shootings and whatnot,
The perpetrator is always dead within moments or less than an hour after the shooting, you know. Dead men tell no tales.
wow. What are we now? 3 days later, right? After the shooting? Or 2 days, actually. 2 days later. I wonder if he's already in Tel Aviv sipping pina coladas with a facelift. God damn it, man. By the way, the footage or the photo taken of him supposedly after he was shot, take a look at that photo. It's pretty gruesome, but don't worry, you're not looking at real blood anyway. It's just as fake as the Trump ear injury. Look at the photo, man. Some of the blood looks fresh, it's red, and the rest looks coagulated and it's a dark color. Really? Really now? It looks like a goddamn rubber dummy. Probably is. Oh, and I love this too. There could be other explanations for this, I suppose, but I'm just not. This is something I'm pointing out. No one else has really mentioned it. This is something I noticed. But I didn't time it. But it was a good deal of time that went by after the shots were fired, right? And after Trump stands up, all of a sudden you hear a woman somewhere out in the crowd screaming really loud, right? This is after the shooting was done and the coast was clear. They shot supposedly Mr. Crooks, right? And it's only at that point that a woman lets out a scream. What the hell? How come you don't hear a scream at the moment the shots themselves are being fired? Like I said, the people, for the most part, look very calm. They're not freaking out. They're not trying to run for cover. They're not ducking down, to ground level, get out of harm's way. Again, guys, none of it makes sense. Just like with all the school shootings, none of it makes sense. They're interviewing people who just supposedly witnessed people getting shot and killed right before their eyes, and they're smiling and laughing to beat the band. You see this with literally every one of these school shootings. My favorite one, my personal favorite, is
Robbie Parker.
and I'll get into this, like I said, down the line, but I just got to mention this now. Robbie Parker is supposed to have been one of the parents of one of the kids shot in the Sandy Hook incident, right? The very next day, the day after his daughter was supposedly shot dead, he comes out of his house to meet a group of cameramen that are there from CNN to interview him and whatnot, right? As soon as he comes out his back door, he doesn't realize the camera's on him yet. So he starts waving at people, and he's smiling ear to ear. Hey, hey, hey! He's looking this way and that way, waving. All of a sudden, he looks up and he sees that the camera's on him and the light's on.
Oh, I gotta go into my crying mode. Suddenly he puts his face down,
Puts on this fake, sobbing act,
My name is Robbie Parker.
He was just smiling ear to ear. I'll get into this later, but, just another example of this horse shittery. God damn it. The McDonald's are interviewed 3 days after their daughter supposedly died. Their eyes aren't bloodshot. No sign of lack of sleep. No bags under their eyes. Their eyes aren't, red. And the mother's laughing. Oh, our daughter was such a hoot. Oh, Cooper. Talking to Anderson Cooper. She would have made you laugh. You would have loved her. She was so comedic. And then she looks over. Isn't that right, honey? And the husband's, he's smiling away to beat the band. Really? They're going to be smiling and laughing when their daughter was supposedly murdered 3 days earlier. Guys, it's goddamn freaking unbelievable, the horse shittery, man. It's so easily demonstrable to be horse shittery, right? And yet the public buys into this crap every fargan time. Well, if you can't see it by now, you deserve to be deceived. I'm sorry, you do. Here's another huge problem. A content provider on BitChute who goes by the name of Nemesis Now put out a very interesting video entitled Trump Hoax Obvious to All. I recommend you go check that out. It's really good. he has some footage in there of a sniper, apparently a Secret Service agent, on the roof of another building nearby, right? And somebody, I don't know if they shot it with their phone camera or something, but anyways, he got a hold of this footage, and you can hear the shots going off, right? The same ones that supposedly targeted Trump's ear. And as those shots are going off, the camera's rolling and fixed on this sniper guy, this Secret Service guy, right? And he's supposed to have been the one who shot Crooks, dead from that rooftop. Anyways, as the actual shots are going off, you can see that the shots are coming from this guy's gun, right? He's got his rifle. It's on a mount, and he's looking through the viewfinder, aiming, and then boom, boom, as you hear the shots go, or pop, pop, as you hear the shots going off, the gun is moving in tandem with the firing sounds of the... It's coming from his gun. They just made the story up later that it came from Crooks's gun, right? It's coming from his gun. Again, watch the video. I just gave his name and the name of the video. You can look it up for yourself. Check it out. I'm telling you, there's no question that this sharpshooter guy was the one that was actually firing the shots. And not one of those shots was aimed anywhere near Trump. You can bet your ass. For all we know, they were all, frickin' blanks. If they were real, yeah, then they did connect. He was shooting at some of the people randomly in the crowd, right? For effects, realistic effects, so it would look like real, like it was a real event, right? Oh, it was real, all right. If, in fact, those couple, 2 or 3 people did, in fact, get shot, oh, yeah, that was real, all right. Just to make the whole event look real. The event was not real as far as Trump being targeted. No goddamn way. Mr. Crooks served the same function in this scenario as Mr. Oswald did for the JFK hit, right? And for that matter, Sirhan. Just be there. That's all it was needed. And then we'll set you up to take the fall. In the case of Mr. Crooks, though, especially seeing he was a Jewy Jew, connected with Black Rock, he probably was scooted off later, when they just created the illusion that he was shot dead. Anyway, in closing, I just got to mention this important set of points here. The Zio-Christian factor. Of all the dupes that look up to Trump as their frickin' hero, the Christian crowd is the most disgusting, man. The way that they're suckered in by their religious scoundrels who, use the Bible or use the claim that they're inspired by God with prophecies that he's given them to show that Trump is the man that God has chosen and he's going to lead us to glory. Here's one example of this. 3 months before this staged attempt on Trump's life, a self-professed charlatan Christian prophet by the name of Brandon Biggs, big fraud, had supposedly predicted this attempt on Trump's life. He stated, quote, "I saw Trump rising up, and then I saw an attempt on his life. This bullet flew by his ear," he said. Supposedly, he said this 3 months before it happened, right? He also said that he saw a revival of patriotism sweeping through America in wake of this event. Patriotism? Really? Patriotism means loyalty to your fellow countrymen and what the country is supposed to stand for anyway. It has nothing to do with standing behind a puppet Zio pig bastard leader. That's not patriotism, you stupid asses. Anyway, in light of, prophecies like this, the Zio-Christian world especially, they're just absolute suckers for this propaganda. Trump supporters in general, get sucked into propaganda. But, when you add the Jesus factor in there, all a politician has to do is wave his little Bible and show up for some religious event or something. And everybody will love him. He's led by God. He might do things or say things that we don't approve of, but overall, God's leading him. Oh, man, oh man, oh man. It's always been this way, guys. The religion factor always clouds the mind and prevents people from, analyzing things at all, let alone, intensively. They don't analyze at all. They just blindly accept it, especially when their phony-ass religious leaders endorse whatever the propaganda may be. That's why COVID flew with so many people, because the religious leaders were telling them to go along with it too, not just the political leaders, right? Oh, there were a few ministers here and there. I saw some that were against it, but they were small local church leaders, ministers, I should say, not big leaders in big name churches. No, all of them went along with the COVID horse shit. But anyways, look at this headline from Newsbreak. Failed Trump assassination attempt may embolden supporters who see him as chosen by God. So there you go. So this event is particularly appealing to Christians because they see that Trump survived a nearly impossible, threat to his life. It was nearly impossible to survive something like that. And yet it just barely nicked his head. That's divine intervention. God spared him because he has a special plan. This is the rhetoric they use, right? This is the kind of BS they fall for. Everything is divine intervention. God is behind it, Knock it off, man. And so, this monkey I just mentioned isn't the only one. There's been actually several Zio-Christian nutballs who have claimed to have been given visions, in advance about Trump. Another one is a loser, goes by the name of Kim Clement, who claimed that he was shown back in 2007 that Trump was actually going to serve 2 terms and that, there was going to be an assassination attempt on his life, but that he was going to rise up above it, be victorious, because God was going to bless him, and that he was going to lead the country into glory and restore America and its economy, blah, 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 blah. So there's a great many Christians who follow either this guy or the other one I mentioned or any number of other phony prophets, right, who are helping to reinforce the propaganda. And they're really pushing this assassination attempt survival, supposed, in the Christian world right now. Oh, yeah. And so, when they stage it for Trump to win, and they're already setting the stage for that now, right, with this event and that dismal frickin' debate. They'll do it again in September with debate number 2, right? So that it's a landslide victory for the Messiah. Guys, one of the first things this son of a bitch is going to do when he gets in office is send our troops over with military machinery for them to use to assist Israel. I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen. And then, of course, it's going to break out into a much bigger conflict, and there's going to be a draft. Trump's the man. He's going to do it, I guarantee. They're going to force Muslims out of the so-called Temple Mount area, destroy the mosque and all the other Muslim buildings there, and rebuild their little temple. It's all going to be under Trump's watch. He really is, as that medal that was minted in his honor years ago, during his first administration. They minted a medal with his name on one side, his image, and that of Cyrus on the other. I'll do a video sometime on Cyrus, but Cyrus was a big hero of theirs in the ancient world because he helped to restore Israel back in Jerusalem, and rebuild the temple or restore it anyway. And so they're calling him the new Cyrus already, right? He's already been labeled that. But he didn't finish the job for them. They intend for him to finish it in term 2. And the Christian world is going to welcome him with open arms every bit as much as, the elite Jews themselves, maybe even more so. Because they're suckers for this kind of propaganda, especially when they see it coming from people that they believe are trustworthy. Their leaders and their so-called prophets. You don't have to be a prophet to say that something is going to happen down the line in several years from now. Knock it off. You don't have to be, divinely inspired, right? All you got to be is well connected and allowed to see the playbook. You know what's coming because you're told what their plan is. And so when you predict it, you're just saying what you know is going to happen, just like the protocols, right? How come Christians don't believe that that's an inspired work of God? Hell, the protocols are far more accurate than any alleged prophecy in the Bible, right? Why don't they see that as a prophecy? Because almost everything foretold in the protocols has come to pass since they first publicly emerged in 1905. You see the point, right? There's no divine inspiration there. Bible dupes don't claim that. Yet the protocols have been profoundly accurate. Why? Because they're letting you in on their game plan ahead of time. And that's all these little monkeys are doing, these so-called prophets. Oh, give me a break. How gullible can you be?